Sandra lives in Valais and she's pretty worried. While her housemate Blaise feels comfortable outside, she stays at home with a question that won't leave her alone. Could an earthquake hit Switzerland? She started worrying about this in school. In her history books, there was one terrible date, 1356. That year, Basel was rocked by an earthquake estimated at 6.5 on the Richter scale. A great fire and a city destroyed. 300 people are thought to have died. This was Europe's worst, it was believed. Sandra's getting more and more worried, because an earthquake of this intensity is estimated to take place every 1,000 years. It wouldn't be going to strike early, would it? She signed up to get alerts from the Swiss Meteorological Service, which records all disturbances with its network of 150 seismographs around the country. In 2017, Switzerland shook 1,200 times, and Sandra did too, though less than a dozen of those shocks were actually felt by people. In Valais, we're protected by the valleys, so nothing can happen to us. Not so, says Sandra. Half the quakes in the past 2 centuries were felt in Valais. The last major earthquake was in 1946. Its epicenter was just north of the town of Sierre. It was 6.1 on the Richter scale, and 4 people died. Switzerland is in fact earthquake country. This is due to 2 tectonic plates, the European and the African, which meet in the Alps. But in those days, buildings weren't as securely built. Forget it, says Sandra. Though there are earthquake norms since 1989 in Switzerland, only the cantons of Aargau, the city of Basel, Fribourg, Jura, Lucerne, Nidwald and Valais really conform to them. And what about buildings from before 1989? 8 out of 10 buildings are not guaranteed as being quake-proof, so no one knows if they would hold up in a quake. Sandra, who owns the building she lives in Sion, watches her money as well. In Switzerland, earthquake damage to buildings isn't paid for by the standard insurance, which does pay for fires and floods. If Switzerland were to have another quake, like the one in the Middle Ages, damage to buildings would amount to something like 50 to 100 billion francs. Those costs would have to be met by the owners. Having a bit of a cough, Sandra boils water for tea. She remembers that according to the National Civil Defence Authority, risks to Switzerland are more likely to be in the area of pandemics and power failures. Earthquakes come in third. The risk of a major earthquake in the next year is 1%. Then she tells herself, "The thought of an earthquake makes me tremble so much. If it happens, I'll probably be the only one who doesn't feel anything."